I have a bunch of KN95 masks here, and in this video I'm going to show you how we can distinguish between a good one and a bad one. So if you've done any research online, you will see that there are several testing methods to tell whether or not a mask is real or fake. Now I kind of want to show you that those tests that I've seen so far don't really make sense. Of those, there's the water test, so the mask should be waterproof. There's a fire test. We kind of burn the mask and see if it kind of shrinks. And the third test is the blow test, which is you wear the mask and you try to blow out a lighter. If the lighter blows out, then the mask is fake. Now, I think those tests do have some merit, but for the most part, they're not very useful. So I'm going to show you why. Before I get started, I kind of want to show you how a mask works in the first place, or what's inside a mask. Let's start with cutting one open. So we're just going to cut right through this is just a regular dust mask. And I just want to show you what the layers are inside and what makes a mask special. So let's take a look. I'm going to cut this open, and for these regular medical, they're not medical, this is actually just a dust one, but they're usually called medical or surgical masks, and blue on one side, white on the other, and these are usually composed of 3 layers. So the first layer, let's try to get this open. So let's see, the blue layer here is what we call just non-woven fabric. The middle layer, this is the layer that filters everything. It's called meltblown fabric. Melting blown fabric. And these are made kind of like how cotton candy is made. Little fibers are blown out and they get blown onto a metal sheet, which cools it down and turns into this melt-blown fabric. And of course, the last layer is another layer of non-woven fabric. Now let's take a look and see what happens if we use the water test. So the water test is quite simple. We pour some water on it and see if it's waterproof. So let's take a look. I have some water here, and I'm gonna show you how the water test really doesn't work well. There's a lot of false positives. Now let's just remove one layer. So this, what I told you earlier, is just a non-woven layer. Actually, really doesn't do anything. The non-woven layer itself is actually also waterproof. So I'm going to put this here. I'm just going to show you. I'm going to pour some water right here. And, oh, it kind of fell out of my little cap. But as you can see, as you can see here, just the non-woven layer is completely waterproof. Water doesn't go through. So if you're testing your KN mask or wet mask with this water test, the water never made it through the first layer. Actually, when we want to test the mask, we want to test this middle layer, which is the melt-blown fabric. Now, this melt-blown fabric is the actual piece that protects you, that filters out, for the KN95s, it filters out 95% of the particles. So even without getting to this melt-blown piece here, which is also completely waterproof. So even without getting to this melt-blown piece, the non-woven does a great job of just filtering out the water. Now masks are great because they protect, they cover the mouth, they cover the nose, and it makes sure that when somebody sneezes or when somebody coughs, the saliva doesn't get out. So for that aspect, these medical, surgical, 3-ply masks does the job quite well. Just the non-woven layer does that, as you can see here. So these 3-ply masks are just run-of-the-mill dust protective masks. They're not expensive or anything like that. I think you can get them relatively cheap at any store. So let's get the water back here. Okay, let's get rid of that. So I just want to kind of prove that the water test, although having your mask be waterproof is great, just using the water test doesn't really tell us that the mask filters out 95% of particles, because just a simple non-woven layer does just that. It blocks out the water.